Hey guys, it's ArchieLuxury. ArchieLuxury from the ArchieLuxury channel, the Paul Pluta channel, and ArchieLuxury corporate. Guys, keep watching. Keep watching. I need the viewers. I need the viewers. I need the subs. I need it. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Tell your friends, whether you like them or hate them. Just tell them anyhow. ArchieLuxury on YouTube. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury channel. And today I want to talk about big collections, and I want to talk about some of the negatives with the big collection. I got quite a few fans and friends who have big collections. In life, there are always people who are much richer and much poorer than you. You've just got to be grateful for what you have yourself. And it's fascinating. I got a few friends who have more money to put into the hobby than I do, which is cool. That's the way the world works. I'm not upset. But it's fascinating. One thing I've found with people who have bigger collections, I don't know if they love their collection as much as I love my individual pieces. And this is not a criticism of them or their choices, because hey, you can't tell another man what to do with his money. But the fascinating thing is, a lot of the bigger collectors, they will be very flippant. They'll buy things. I mean, they always make sure they can get out and they're not going to lose money, but they'll flip in and flip out, whereas I tend to be far more cautious and I look at the collection dynamics. A good friend of mine, he had a number of Lange pieces. He had an amazing Lange collection, and he even offered a few Lange pieces to me at various times there. But I've always said that I am a Patek person. I could never afford to have Lange and Patek. I'd like to concentrate on one only. And there's pros and cons of that. In my case, I've actually got 6 Pateks, but one of them's for sale. I got 5 unique Pateks, and I gotta be totally honest with you. If I had Langes, it would be the Pateks would be less. So I've got to tell you, in my own case, I wanted to concentrate on the one brand, and that's important to me. That's my own decision. But one of my friends who has some amazing Langes, he had, Langes, they're pretty scarce on the ground. You don't see collectors with heaps and heaps of Langes. But he had an amazing collection. And then he wanted to get something even more amazing. It was a platinum Daytona, and he didn't mind flicking pieces to pay for that. And I gotta be honest with you, he's a lovely guy, and the Platinum Daytona he was lusting after is incredible. It's an incredible piece. But he gave up a Lange 1815 chronograph to get it. And I think, wow, an 1815 chronograph, that's one of the most beautiful watches of all time. Now his answer is, hey, it doesn't matter, Arch, I already got a Datograph, which is better than the 1815 chronograph. But I would have loved to have kept the Lange part going. It's like with my Pateks there. I mean, my Pateks, they're not the most valuable Pateks. They're not garbage either, but in many ways they're in my Patek collection. I don't want to sell my World Time or the annual calendar. Those watches mean a lot to me. And I suppose, I really find it hard. The only Patek I've got I would sell is I got two 5127s. I got two of them, and I'd like to sell one of them, which I've listed with Vintage Watch Co. But I really want to keep the other ones. I don't really want to sell them. And I kind of think it's the old scenario. The guy who has one Ferrari, he probably loves it more than the guy who's got 10 Ferraris and all of them are special edition or they're special versions. They're not just common run-of-the-mill. Whereas the guy with the one Ferrari, it may be a lousy Mondial. It may be a 400i with the auto, T-bar auto, but he loves it. He loves it. And his love for the mark, the Ferrari mark, can never be diminished. And I find it, a friend of mine who constantly buys pieces, I find he flips pieces, he'll flick a piece very quickly, whereas I would really, ooh, that would really hurt. So I mean, do I have more love for the pieces? I don't know. It's a tricky equation, but I can only go on what I've got myself there, and I find it, I'm really attached to my pieces. Could I flick them? Well, if necessary, a man's got to do what a man's got to do, but I find people with the bigger collections, they'll let go of things easier than, say, I would. Now, it's an interesting equation, and I find myself, the emotional energy that is in each of my Pateks, I don't like to just give them up that easily. I can't do that easily. I would really take my time. So, in many ways, I suppose my outlook is different to other collectors. So, you got to work it out yourself. But I suppose what I'm really trying to say is, for me, I find it, I've got my core Patek collection, and that's kind of it. I don't want to sell pieces off. I don't want to change the direction of the collection. I very much love the ones I've got, and I enjoy each of them, even if I'm not wearing them. Say I'm not using them, I still hoard and possess, and knowing I've got them, they're a part of my mental psyche. And I gotta say, in all honesty, I don't really want to sell or trade or swap pieces I've got. Whereas if you've got more, you're not as attached to them. So, I'm just coming to the realization that in my case there, I'm starting to level off. I'm very happy. I've had some huge changes in my collecting aura. I was one watch per brand. Okay, so I did that for a while, and that was cool. Then I went madly into Rolex. I had two-tones and steel sports Rolex. And then I trimmed it back into Patek. And I admit I probably went a little bit too far. The pendulum swung too far. And then I level off. Like at the moment I've got 6 Pateks, and I'm thinking, you know what? Get rid of one and get some steel sports. Which is what I'm trying to do, is get some steel sports. And I gotta tell you, that seems to be the way that I'm kind of headed. I'm just polishing off the collection a little bit. So I've got to be honest with you now. I'm kind of content. I'm feeling content, and I don't think I'd really want to sell any of my Pateks Besides that one I've got listed with Vintage Watch Co. And that's the only reason it's listed is because I've got two 5127s and I'd like to get some Rolex Steel Sports. That's correct, Rolex Steel Sports. But the main emphasis, that Patek base, is very strong. I do love it. It means a lot to me. Rolex would be good to have. And I think I'm becoming more content with the collection. So tell me what you think, guys. Do you love your watches? Would you easily flip out? Tell me. I'm your pontiff, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.